Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 129.1. I say review like that because this week's chapter is a gag chapter, it's not a main chapter, and this video is going to be me talking about the chapter at first, but the majority of it is going to be me talking about the entirety of the series and the anime because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of things I want to say, and a gag chapter is probably the best opportunity for me to talk about all of the bigger important stuff without forgetting about the important things in a main chapter. So, this week's chapter is here to celebrate the anime, though I have a sneaking suspicion that it is also here to give us sort of like a little bit of a little lighthearted moment, a little fun time, before we get what is probably going to be the climax of Shibuya. Like, we're getting into the end of Shibuya. Some crazy shit is probably going to happen next chapter with Mahito doing his 0.2 second domain expansion. Mahito may die, Todo may die, Sukuna may come out again, we don't know. It's crazy. So, the entire chapter is basically our main four who are back together again. It's been so long. It's been like... Oh, Jesus. Has it been like a year since all four of them have been together? Over a year. Probably. And they're just sort of playing around, talking about how since this is basically a filler chapter, they can do whatever they want. They can wear casual clothes. They can fuck around with the paneling. They can use screen tones they don't normally use. It's a bunch of really fun stuff. And they can use as much page space as you want, because the page rate doesn't fucking matter. It's a filler chapter. Who gives a shit? It's all fun. It's a good time. And as long as this filler chapter doesn't end up in the volume release, no one will care. So this is some fun stuff. This is a nice change of pace from what we've gotten a lot of lately, because Shibuya has basically been almost all really serious shit. I think, like, the last funny thing to happen... The last, like, funny joke thing was Nobara making fun of Mahito, and the funniest thing before that, like, the last really funny thing to happen was Haruta getting killed by Sukuna. That was the last really funny thing. And then fucking Nanami died, and then Nobara was fatally wounded. Things have been pretty glum lately, so it's nice to sort of have, like, all of this fun stuff happening again. They do like a dart game to see what sort of setting they're going to be in, and they land on beach. So Gojo says, ah shit, we gotta do a swimsuit chapter. And Nobara says, ah, I see, so the time has finally come. So naturally, everyone, like me, we're like, oh really, finally a beach episode, a swimsuit special, oh man. There would be some good things to see in a swimsuit special, because Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't have a lot of fan service, so maybe we'd finally get a little. And we do finally get some fan service with this double-page spread of Todo on the beach. Wearing his Speedo. It's like they remember that picture that Todo gave to Nobara to give to Yuji, I think? And he's there on, like, the beach in his Speedo. Now he's laying down on the beach in his Speedo, and goddamn is that boy thick. Holy shit. Todo out here, double-cheeked up on a Sunday morning. What a fucking guy. Todo has cake. Hopefully that cake will survive next chapter. Praying, I've got my fingers crossed. We can only hope. So then, since, Todo ruins everything for everyone else, they decide to do, like, a singing, like a karaoke special, and it's great. So, Gojo is reluctant to do the singing bit, and Yuji asks him if that's because he sucks at singing, which would finally be a weakness. And Gojo says, no, my official profile states that besides my personality, I'm perfect in every way. Gojo is basically a completely flawless human being. His only flaw is that he's kind of an asshole, and that's as a result of him knowing that he's basically a perfect human being. His curse technique is almost invincible. The guy is super hot. He's basically got it all going on for him. So, of course he's able to sing perfectly. The issue is, now that people have heard his voice, him singing would maybe get into, like, some weird implications. I mean, he has Hawks's and Bruno's voice actor. The guy's voice is nice. I don't think we've ever heard him sing in either of those, but, like, dude's got a nice voice. I assume he would sound good if he's singing, so, like, if he gets into it, the people would like it. But he says it's Gojo's time to shine, which is, very true, considering what has happened this week in regards to the anime. So that happens. It's basically the end of the chapter. We get 2 bonuses. Oh my god, we get like a bonus at the end of the bonus chapter. And it's Sukuna being bored out of his mind, inside Yuji's mind. And we just see various situations that have happened within the manga in which Sukuna does not come out. Like, he's just fucking laying around on his face, and then the last panel is during the start of the fight between Yuji and Todo versus Hanami, and he's like, oh damn, and then he just goes back to sleep. Because if you think about it, Yuji has gotten into a bunch of shit without Sukuna, ever since, like, the fight against Mahito, the first fight against Mahito. Sukuna hasn't really done anything. He's just kind of been sitting around this whole time. So I bet the dude's bored out of his skull. And the last page is our main trio doing the ending pose from the end of Lost in Paradise. It's cute. This was a fun chapter. I thought it was funny. It was a nice little comedic break. Cool down a little from all the really heavy stuff that's been happening over the last 10 chapters so far. And likely so that we can steel ourselves for when shit flies off the rails, even more so than it has been for next chapter. I mean, things have been off the rails for the last 10 chapters, but now it's just not off the rails, like it's going off into a fucking ravine filled with landmines. It's nuts. So this was a nice little change of pace. Am I disappointed that we didn't get to see chapter 130 this week? A little bit, yeah. But considering this chapter did not seem to require a lot of work, like they say in the chapter, hopefully that means that Gege will have had more time to work on chapter 130, which means it will be really fucking good, hopefully. If it's not, I'll probably be a little disappointed since Gege got basically probably an extra half week to work on it. But we'll have to see. In fact, I guess he would have a normal amount of time to work on it because next week's chapter comes out on Friday. I think, yes? Yes, it comes out on Friday. Oh, thank God, so we don't have to wait as long. Well, that's a relief. It seems Gege actually timed this very well, so we don't have to wait a super long time for the next chapter after getting this little gag bit. So that's fun. Now, I should probably talk about the manga itself, and then I'm going to talk about the anime. So, I have a feeling in the next 2 chapters, we're going to see the end of Shibuya. It's ending. The fight, with this gap, I think the fight with Mahito may actually end next chapter. That's a possibility, I think. It could end next chapter. If not, it'll end in the chapter after that. Shibuya is coming to a close. I may do a video talking about, looking back on Shibuya after the fact, whenever it ends. I may just do a whole video for it, or I'll just talk about it when the arc ends. In that chapter review, but man, has Shibuya been a ride. Holy shit. Shibuya. I've read through the entirety of Shibuya a few times already. And man, I can't believe that this year-long arc has been so consistently good. It basically just keeps getting better and better. You start off with the fight between Gojo and the Disaster Spirits. That is insane. That fight is way better than I'd remembered. That's gonna be on the list. When that video comes out, talking about the best fights in the series, it's gonna be on the list, for a number of reasons. You got the fight against the Grasshopper Spirit, you got a fight against that cursed family, oh god, what do we have after that? I think after that we had Meimei and Yu versus Imposter Ghetto. It was really Meimei and Yu versus the Smallpox Deity. And then we got teased about Meimei versus Ghetto, which we still haven't seen. And at this rate, I don't think we're going to see it. I think it's going to happen off-screen. It's going to be a wash for one of them, or someone's going to die. Someone will probably be dead after that fight. Then we got Yuji versus Chozo, which is another fight that's up there. Do I even need to explain why Yuji versus Chozo is up there? Just the choreography, the environment. Oh my god, like when you see them fighting, that double page spread of them fighting in the bathroom with all the water spraying everywhere and they go into the hand-to-hand combat. It feels like something out of like a Mission Impossible movie or something. It feels like something out of an action movie. I can see that fight happening in motion in a movie. Then we got the Zenin team versus Dagon, which is another top tier fight. That was amazing. Then we got Sukuna's Rampage, which was crazy. And now we've got Yuji and Todo versus Mahito, with various other people involved in fighting Mahito. It's been really amazing. I don't think it's out of line. Like, I don't think it'll be very controversial to say that Shibuya is the best arc in the series so far. With the way things are going, I mean, we had Goodwill, which was amazing. We got Origin of Obedience, which was alright. And then we go right into Hidden Inventory, which was fucking incredible. And now, right after that, we go into the Shibuya incident, which has been amazing. It's been unbelievable. This is probably the best long-running arc of any of the series in Jump right now. I think at this point, I can safely say, I've meant to say this a while ago. I think Jujutsu Kaisen is the best series in Shonen Jump right now. I think I can safely say that. I haven't read all of the other series in Shonen Jump, but I can generally infer, based on how like none of the other series get the same level of hype and attention that Jujutsu has gotten, even if I haven't read them. I've started Phantom Seer. I'm going to start Undead Unluck soon, but neither of those have really impressed me in the same way Jujutsu has. Chainsaw Man is really amazing. Like, it's close. Chainsaw Man is close to being as good as Jujutsu Kaisen. But I think Jujutsu Kaisen is just so much more fun. Chainsaw Man is really, like, fucking amazing. It's one of the best things I've ever read in my life. But every week, when a new chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen comes out, I know I'm going to go onto Viz, and for, like, the next 10 minutes, I'm going to have a really good time reading through a chapter. No chapter has disappointed me thus far. They've all been great. So, this is my proclamation, my divine proclamation, that Jujutsu Kaisen is currently the best series in Weekly Shonen Jump. There you have it, folks. So, we'll see what happens in the next few chapters with the end of Shibuya, cap off this amazing arc that's been going on for over a year, and we'll see where we go from there. Now, time to talk about the anime. So this week was the week I've been waiting for. It was time for Gojo versus Jogo. And man, was it fucking good. Oh, it was so good. I recommend all of you go and watch King of Lightning's D-Live stream. His D-Live stream from last night. He watches this episode of Jujutsu Kaisen like an hour and 20 minutes in. If you haven't watched King of Lightning, he's very entertaining. He's one of the most entertaining anime and manga reaction channels, if you want to call him that. The guy he's pretty fun to watch, and his reaction to this episode was very good. I was very, very happy. I mentioned this in my review after episode 4 came out, but seeing all of these people like talk about what's happening in the series, using the characters' names, talking about the things from the series, domain expansions, after having followed the series for a while, and now seeing all of these big people talking about it too, it's such an amazing feeling. And I can imagine for you guys that have been following the series for like the over 2 years that it's been in circulation, this has got to be fucking incredible for you guys. So that's really great. The Immeasurable Void scene was fantastic. My only complaint is that they fucking changed the name again. Infinite Void. It's the least good of the translations for it. I think Unlimited Void is, like, good. It's fine. But Immeasurable Void... Oh. Like, Unlimited Void, you get the impression that it's big. But with Immeasurable Void, you get the impression that it's incomprehensible. Which is how his domain works. So, I just prefer that one. Infinite Void is just like, oh, it's forever. Okay. Not as exciting of a translation. But what can you do about it? We got to see Mahito at the end of the episode. That was great. I have to say, I don't know what it is. If it's like the voice actor or whatever, but Geto really steals the scene whenever he shows up. Like, he has a much bigger presence than he did in the manga, for me at least. Not that he's had more scenes, but when he shows up, he just seems to be much more impressive. He stands out a lot more, to me, than he did in the manga, at least. But we got introduced to Mahito. I like his voice. We got a funny little bit at the end with them playing soccer with Jogo's head, which was hilarious. That's probably the funniest of the Jujutsu Scroll little segments they have after the credits so far. Some of them have been kind of hit and miss. I assume a lot of it is like, I don't know if it's like a Japanese humor thing that I just don't get. I don't know. But that was fun. So the overwhelming response I've seen to this episode has been that it's fucking amazing. And a lot of these are from anime onlys. Which is where I'm going to talk about something that I talked about in my most recent Chainsaw Man chapter, because this directly applies to Jujutsu Kaisen. I talked about this in reference to a potential Chainsaw Man anime, but there are some people, a lot of them are 4chan/A dwellers, so you know, lower life forms, so people don't really see them that much. And there are some YouTubers, not huge YouTubers, but bigger than me, where whenever an episode of the anime comes out, they complain, hey, this doesn't look like it was drawn by Gege Akutami, this doesn't look like the manga, this is bad. Well, I have a message to you. The reason it doesn't look like the manga is because it wasn't drawn by the same fucking person who drew the manga. It was drawn by a different team of artists. And it's not the manga. People seem to be under the impression that an anime adaptation is a direct translation of the manga into a moving media. They don't call it a manga, an anime translation. They call it an anime adaptation, which means they change it to fit into a moving animated media. The art style will be a little different, yeah, because it's not drawn by the same fucking person. They try and emulate it a little bit. I'll say that it looks much more similar to early Jujutsu Kaisen art, because the art style has changed a lot. It's become much more stylized. I'd say probably over like the last year or so. It looks very different. If you look at current Jujutsu Kaisen to like the first 20 chapters, it looks very different. But Jesus Christ, guys. If I have to hear another fucking person bitch about how an anime doesn't look just like the manga, I'm gonna jump off a fucking bridge. I can't listen to these people complain about things anymore. Please just stop. No one wants to listen to this shit anymore. So that will be today's public service announcement to people who complain about the anime looking different from the manga. Yes, that's because it's not the manga, it's the anime. I mean, most anime adaptations look different than the manga. I mean, fucking Demon Slayer, which has been praised for how amazing the animation is, looks very different from the manga. The manga art looks kinda not great in comparison to the anime. I mean, I still like the manga art. I think it's good. It's very stylized. I like it personally. But the anime just blows it out of the water. And even then, I still hear people bitch about how, UFO Table fucked up the anatomical art. Who the fuck cares? It looks amazing. I can't listen to these people anymore. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. This anime's been amazing. Now that we've seen Gojo's domain expansion, I can finally calm down a little. I've been waiting for it ever since the anime started. I've waited for 6 weeks to see this shit. And now that it's here, I can sit down, I can relax, and I can feel the same level of excitement for every episode that comes out now. There'll be a few that I'm, like, more excited for. I mean, I'll be more excited for when we get Nanami's backstory, and when we get Yuji and Toda versus Hanami. But for the most part, I can feel the same level of hype for each episode. Now we're getting into the part of the manga where it gets really good. The Versus Mahito arc is one of the best still. I think it's where the series goes from being good to being great, so it's time for the anime to kick it up a notch. It's time for it to get really fucking good. So I'm very excited for that, and I hope you're very excited for that too. So that's all I have to say for this week. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Jujutsu Kaisen chapter reviews every week, and I do Jujutsu Kaisen character discussions every other week. This week, I'm going to be doing a video talking about Ryomen Sukuna, I'm sure many of you will be interested in seeing that. So subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss it when it comes out. If you enjoy other series such as Record of Ragnarok, Chainsaw Man, and Kengan Omega, I do videos on those series as well. So if you're interested in those, you should definitely check out my channel. If you enjoyed discussing Jujutsu Kaisen with other people, or you just enjoy the content I upload on this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to it on my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.